What's going on, everybody? My name is Rev and welcome back to another Dauntless video. In this video, I've got not one, not two, but three different builds, and two are very similar. They're more like variants of each other, but one is for, hey, I just started Dauntless and, you know, maybe I'm wrapping up the story and getting a little bit more into Dauntless and running escalation. And then the last build, which is the one I'm going to go kind of more in depth on, is okay, we finished escalation and this is our late game build. It's got, you know, all the bells and whistles. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. The Aether Strikers. Let's talk about them really fast. Not really a big surprise. This is a I know this might be kind of mind-blowing, but the weapons in Dauntless start popping off a little bit. You know, your builds start coming together once you finish the story and you've killed all the behemoths. So these builds do require you to kind of finish the story. I highly recommend it before taking on escalation anyway, but you know, running some 1 through 10s or you know, the early stages of escalation is totally fine. Get some levels and power up in there, but ultimately I would, before taking on 10 through 50, I would recommend taking on the entire story first, so you can see all the behemoths, learn them, and also get their gear and build cohesive builds that are just, you know, not super ragtag. And so let's get right into it. Keep in mind, once again, I want to remind you that I'm going to be going over the late game build, you know, for my longtime players, because Blaze Escalation's been going on for a while. But in the description, there are 3 builds for you there, and yeah, just check those out if you're so inclined. But let's get into the build. Let's get into the nitty gritty. We have the Brawlers of Boreus, an ice weapon for Blaze Escalation, but you can also rock these for the easy Iceborne, and that's what we're looking after right now. So we want Iceborne, we want all the essentials, right? We want to be able to take on all the content in the game, and that's the point of this build. Let's get into it. Discipline, of course, we need it for our low life build. We're also rocking Iceborne. This activates Iceborne, and you know, our Wild Frenzy and our Rage is always going to be active, so we want that discipline. We have Iceborne for our, you know, it's the survivability cell. Not really a surprise there. Titan's Crash, Cyclonic Strike Plate, very staple. You know, this cell loadout and special and mod, all very staple loadouts. You know, pretty much always going to be using them on the Strikers. But we also have Light's Crown. This allows us to get Conduit, and this is where our +3 Berserker is going to live. Very important to get that little bit of extra damage if we're not rocking the Skullforge, which is also in the description as a variant. We have the Dark Marrow, Shroud's chest piece, with overpowered +3. We have Torgador's Brawn. We just finished Blaze Escalation, mind you, and so we have Rage +3 in there. We also have the Boreal March. Keep in mind that Torgador's Brawn and Boreal March kind of counteract each other, so we're actually sitting at like a neutral level of resistance, so we're not taking any extra or being resistant to any extra damage across the board. So we got Torgador's with Rage, and then we have the Boreal March with our Wild Frenzy 3 cell. And some people have different opinions on this. I personally like going with Berserker and Wild Frenzy 3 as kind of like a rule of thumb for maybe new players. Is for every 20% of passive damage, I like to have 10% of attack speed. So we have Rage, you know, Rage is 25%, and so I'll bring Conduit with it, and that's 15%. You know, this is a very rough estimate, and it's kind of like a rule of thumb that you can follow, but you don't necessarily need to. It's just kind of what I like to do. And then we have like our Berserker and Wild Frenzy, and these kind of go together as well. You can go Berserker 6. You are going to be losing a little bit more health. I find that if, you know, just minus 150, not that big of a deal with Iceborne, but if you go with +6, you're going to, you know, there's a chance of a one-shot or on certain attacks. But we also get some more attack speed, which allows us with Wild Frenzy to get you know, our mantras up and running faster, more frequently, in less amount of time, which is you know, we might be able to sneak in a cheeky Titan's Clap if we are able to get that mantra off. So having attack speed and damage on the strikers, honestly, any weapon is going to be what we're looking after. So I like the Berserker 3 and Wild Frenzy 3-3 split as opposed to going like 6 Wild Frenzy or 6 Berserker. That's kind of what we're running here. We also have the Drask Eye. This is really what we're looking after for a Lantern. We got plenty of attack speed in Conduit and Wild Frenzy and Cyclonic Strike Blade. That's so hard to say. But we have the Drask Eye. We're going to be hitting the tap when we're ready to, we're going to hit the tap when we're ready to clap. You know what I'm saying? That's my motto. If we ain't tapping, we ain't clapping. That's what I say. All right, we got 3 Conduit in there, and then your Lantern Capacitor can be, whatever escalation level you're at. Anyway, that's the build. You can bring whatever pots you want. I always recommend bringing Bulwark Tonics. They're cheap. They keep you alive, and you don't have to waste your trial pots in escalation. But but yeah, they're just cheap, and so I like bringing bulwarks if I can. So I'd probably I don't like using my trial tonics in escalation, so I'll probably get rid of like a frenzy or a blitz. And assault tonics are fine because I don't really pop those too much, but assault tonics are very good in blaze escalation with Lady Luck's Barrage if we come across it. So that's kind of the build there. And then again, just one last friendly reminder, there are 3 builds in the description, so be sure to check those out. But very short and sweet video today going over the Aether Strikers. I always find myself being really late to the party when it comes to like builds, and so hopefully this is sufficient enough to keep you like wherever you are in the game, whether it's early game, late game, or you're just looking to have a little fun in escalation. The Boreus Strikers are pretty strong. They're not, they're not Hellion Strikers or Ristalker Strikers, but Boreus is doing pretty good these days, and so they're worth trying out, and they're definitely the go-to ice weapon. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so very much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like on the video. It helps out a ton. If you want to further support the channel, you can subscribe and use creator code RevvyRad in the Dauntless in-game store or the Epic Games store. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you on the Shattered Isles.